Hello, and welcome back to the King of Diamonds channel. Oh, wait, one moment. Put that one there. There. Oh, that almost fell. How's that look? Is that good? Awesome! Now we can do the review. Michael is the brand new musical biopic film that has just released, centered around that guy. Centered around that guy. If you can't tell, I'm a bit of a Michael Jackson fan myself. When I was growing up, he was one of the musical artists that I really loved and looked up to in a way. And so now to see that he's got this biopic movie, and it's cool. I mean, it's not going to hit as hard as the Beatles biopics are going to hit, but that's assuming that those movies end up being good. But this movie in particular has something really interesting about it, and it's not even related to the film itself, but rather the reception of the film. I posted a couple of shorts talking about this, but basically, before watching this movie and before it released here, critics had already done their reviews on the movie, and most of them were very negative. It had a 27% on Rotten Tomatoes. 27% on Rotten Tomatoes is not very good. It's gone up, I think, to 31%. I heard maybe it's gone up more since then. So going into the movie, I assumed it wasn't going to be that good, or at least that's what I thought. So, let's get right into it, shall we? Michael is a musical biopic drama film based on the true story of Michael Jackson. It is set from a portion of his career from when he was young in the Jackson 5 until the oh-so-iconic Bad Tour. The film stars Jafar Jackson, Kat Graham, Miles Teller, Coleman Domingo, Juliana Valdi, Nia Long, Laura Harrier, Kendrick Sampson, Jessica Sula, Teresa Palmer, Derek Luke, Lawrence Tate, Liv Simon, Kylan Durrell Jones, Ryan Hill, Jaden Harville, Tree Horton, Judah Edwards, Joseph David Jones, Kevin Schnick, Jamal Henderson, and Nathaniel Logan McLentire. It was directed by Antoine Fuqua. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. Very sorry if I didn't. And was produced by Lionsgate Films. Like I said, going into this movie, I was very worried about it due to the critic reviews, but I can safely say I thoroughly enjoyed this one. To start off, visually, fantastic. I thought the movie looked great. The choreography, it had to be fantastic. It's Michael Jackson. It's got to have cool dancing and stuff, but it definitely did. I was in a rush to get to the theater, and I was very, very late, so I just got there as the opening credits, I believe, were ending, so I hope I didn't miss anything important, that maybe like an opening title sequence, but I'm fairly sure I didn't miss any actual movie, just maybe the opening title scene. But from the very small snippet I saw of it, it was like watching feet dance on the ground, and that looked pretty stylized. That was pretty cool. It focuses mostly on Michael Jackson's story from when he's very young, and mainly focuses on his relationship with his father, how it's very toxic and how he was treated by him, and how he grew up and slowly tried to separate himself from his father and sort of become his own person and be free to express himself creatively. Now, of course, before I talk about this movie too in depth, I gotta address the elephant in the room. Obviously, people are upset that they don't address any allegations made against Michael Jackson. And I do understand why that would be frustrating. Even if you believe that he's innocent or believe that he's not innocent, either way, you can understand why incorporating that side of his life is quite relevant. You know, it's an important part of the story, whether you think he did it or didn't. But I'm fairly sure that they were going to do that, and then they were told that legally they may not actually be allowed to discuss it at all. I'm assuming because it did say at the end of the movie that the story will continue, so they're probably making a sequel. But like I said, I'm assuming it's going to be discussing those topics in the second movie. I'm also pretty sure that those allegations didn't actually come out during the time period that this movie is set in. So there's that. So as I was saying, visually this movie is fantastic. I also really enjoyed the way that they show the relationship with the father. It was just watching the opening sequence was very difficult, especially because personally, when it comes to Michael Jackson's music, I'm not saying I don't love his later stuff, but I prefer the Jackson 5 music. That's mostly what I grew up listening to when it came to him. So, I was really excited to see that stuff. And man, was it plagued with a lot of really strong topics. It was hard to watch in a good way because it was done well, but it was hard to watch. Jafar Jackson, I think it's his nephew, like Michael Jackson's nephew that's playing him. Incredible. Voice, down pat. Dancing, down pat. Just, wow. Even looked a lot like him, so good job on that, I guess. I really felt that he was taking this role seriously. Really, all the performances in this movie are fantastic. There wasn't anyone that wasn't doing a good job. And like I said, visually, this movie is stunning. The costume design, especially for the thriller part of the film, was incredible. My favorite parts actually were showcasing the way that Michael Jackson would go through the songwriting process he was doing like the he's doing like the beats in his head, and you can tell that he's got the songs up in his head and he's writing it, as well as the way that the soundtrack, aside from just when his songs will play properly, there were moments where you can just hear the beat of some of his songs and it will serve as the score of the movie. You'll hear the thriller beat, but not with any guitars or any singing over the top of it, just the beat, and it will be playing in the background, or you got to be starting something, that, where you can hear the beat playing throughout the movie, and it's really interesting how they did it. I really appreciated that. The scene when he fires his dad, that was really, really cool. I could feel the tension building. And when that paper came through the printer, that was just hilarious, honestly. Also, the focus on his love for Peter Pan and Neverland was really nice, and they handled it quite well in sort of explaining his mindset and how he's sort of like a big kid, especially with all the stuff about his pet, I think chimpanzee, and his pet giraffe, and his pet, and he's just got a lot of pets. I absolutely adored the scene where he's choreographing the Beat It dance with a bunch of people. That was really cool. Really, really cool, because you're not even hearing the song, you're just seeing the process of him figuring out the dance, and watching it come together was just so interesting. I really loved that so much. Again, it's hard for me to judge this on a story perspective because obviously there's gonna be a second movie because it says the story continues. I'm assuming that means that there's gonna be a second one, so I'm not gonna fully judge it due to the fact that that there's going to be a sequel. And I think once the sequel comes out, I'll be able to evaluate my opinion of it, because I want to sort of consider it to be one massive story rather than an individual movie, because it doesn't really feel that way. So for now, I will be giving Michael a fairly solid 7 out of 10. And keep in mind, this will go up or down depending on the quality of the second movie, the second part. So once that is out, the score of the first one will just sort of merge with the score of the second one. Obviously, that won't be for a long time, probably for a couple years, maybe a few years. But either way, I was really happy to see this movie. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I'll definitely be getting it on Blu-ray, and I can't wait to see where the story goes and how they handle the obviously more difficult topics to talk about and more complicated subjects. So yeah, Michael is a decent movie, and I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it too if you went and saw it. And if you didn't like it, tell me about why you didn't like it in the comments. I love to listen to all of your opinions. Follow me on my socials if you'd like to. They are linked in my bio. And yeah, Michael is a movie, and it does exist, and you can watch it anyway. Bye!